And welcome into this very busy hour of CBS Sports HQ on your Tuesday. I'm Amanda Guerra with you. All right, let's talk golf because it was pretty much near impossible not to get excited about the PGA this week. The first WGC event since the shutdown, and legit almost all of the best players in the world are going to be there. We now know the featured groups, and there was no way this wouldn't be good heading into the WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational, given 45 of the top 50 players in the world are in the field. But with the exception of maybe a wish list here or there, the featured groups for this week are pretty darn good. Taking a look at them, you have Bryson DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, Rickie Fowler, Webb Simpson, Rory, Jordan Spieth, Patrick Reed, Hovland, Koepka, Thomas, Morikawa, Matsuyama. So all of them very exciting. All right, let's bring in two of our experts, Kyle Porter, Doug Bell, to talk about this week, looking ahead to Thursday. Let's talk about the featured groups. Now, somebody did point out to me on Twitter that it would be fun to have Bryson and Patrick Reed in a group. So I would like to put that to the PGA Championship ahead because we'd like to see that. But given short of that, I think this is really fun. So, Doug, what do you feel about these featured groups? What stands out to you?
Well, they're all good. They're all exciting. You know what really stands out is the fact on this restart of the PGA Tour, we basically had a World Golf Championship event every week. I've been out there 5 of the 7 weeks so far, and the fields have been stellar. Now, this one might be just a step above some of those others. But the one thing that really stands out to me is that Jon Rahm comes in as the #1 player in the world for good reason because of all the 20-somethings, and there's a lot of great ones out there, a lot of superstars in their 20s. He's the best, and he's #1 for a reason because he really has no glaring holes in his game. We talked about his emotions, and we saw a maturity level that we had not seen a couple of weeks ago when he won the Memorial. So, yeah, Jon Rahm playing with Bryson DeChambeau. That'll be interesting. DeChambeau leads the tour in driving distance. Can't wait to see those two guys go at it. And then Rickie Fowler's kind of the third wheel. He's had his worst season in recent memory. So I'm anxious to watch that Rahm, DeChambeau, Fowler threesome. Remember now, it's a par 70 TPC Southwind. There's only 2 par 5s, and there's a lot of dog legs, so it'll be interesting to see how the length of DeChambeau plays into it. But again, that threesome, they don't compare to Jon Rahm when you talk about every phase of his game.
Yeah, I agree with that about Jon Rahm. I think Jon Rahm's in for a good week this week. I love the threesome of Rory, Spieth, and Webb Simpson there. You know, Rory and Webb have been pretty good since the restart. Webb won, obviously, the RBC Heritage. Rory has been he's been really good, actually, outside of his iron play. If that's something that he can straighten up over the next couple weeks, he could rip off 2 in a row here with the WGC and then the PGA Championship next week. Both Webb and Rory contended last year at this tournament when Brooks Koepka went on to win. So I think they're 2 really interesting guys this week. And then obviously Spieth, Amanda, we got to talk about him. I actually had a dream about Jordan Spieth winning last night, which was very strange. I'm going to talk more about that on the First Cut podcast later today. But I might be in too deep. I don't know. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on for Spieth. Hopefully he's able to have another good tournament. And look, he's going for the career slam next week at Harding Park at the PGA Championship. So big 2-week stretch for him as well.
Okay, let's talk. I'm going to make you, I know you're going to talk about it at the First Cut pod. First of all, you may need a counselor just to talk about Jordan Spieth. But let's talk about him because I was listening to the First Cut pod. And Rick Gaiman, of course, I mean, he's pretty much done with Jordan. But Greg DeChambeau says he's not necessarily fading him for this particular tournament. Kyle, do you have any faith in Jordan going into this? I mean, you had your dream.
My dream was of him winning a tournament. Unfortunately, it wasn't at TPC Southwind or at Harding Park. It was at Pebble Beach, which was weird. I don't know. I don't know what was going on. But to answer your question, I think I'm more of a believer in Spieth now than, I don't know, a month ago, 2 months ago, even this time last year. You know, I was thinking about the PGA Championship in May of last year. I watched Spieth and Brooks Koepka in the final pairing on Saturday in round 3 of that tournament. And Spieth was not in Koepka's class. He was spraying it all over the place. Koepka was just finding the middle of the club face on every shot. And right now, would you say that Brooks Koepka is better than Jordan Spieth? I don't know. That might say more about Koepka than it does about Spieth. But Spieth's coming off a final round at Memorial in which he played with Rory McIlroy. beat him there. Had a pretty decent week, kind of quietly at Muirfield Village. So I kind of like Spieth coming into this week, not necessarily to win, but I like him, as you can see his progression there to that T13 at the Memorial. I kind of like him more than I did, like a month ago at this time.
A belated happy birthday to Jordan Spieth. Yesterday he turns 27 years old, and he hasn't won since he was a 24-year-old. But up to that point, 11 wins, 3 major championships, a FedEx Cup, maybe a Hall of Fame career already for Jordan Spieth. And, it was interesting. I followed him at the Open Championship at St. Andrews the year that Zach Johnson won, and he almost won the Grand Slam that year. He contended in all 4 majors, won 2 of them. And, you watch Jordan Spieth then, it's like, wow, this guy is incredible. And he was long and straight off the tee. And then last summer, I followed him at Sedgefield at the Wyndham Championship, and he doesn't know which direction it's going. It really is amazing how far he's fallen. He used to be a long straight hitter, and now it's a scatter chart off the tee. So I don't think he's going to play well this week at TPC Southwind, simply because driving is a premium there. It's firm and fast, and there's dog legs, and you have to hit fairways, and I just don't think that fits Jordan right now. But again, happy birthday. It happened yesterday. He's only 27, so he's got a lot of time on his hands.
I am fully confident that Kyle had his own private birthday party for Jordan Spieth. All right, let's talk about somebody we are all jealous of. Maybe you guys aren't. Maybe you're just strong individuals. I am very jealous. I saw this on Rick Gehman's Twitter, and I had to close Twitter. So this is a guy who apparently saw what none of us saw. Look at the risk there, $139 on Michael Thompson to win the 3M Open plus $11,000. Sure enough, he wins. He wins more than $15,000. This just kind of makes my heart hurt. So obviously this was a deep sleeper. So taking a look at the odds to win this weekend, it is not Rory McIlroy. It is Jon Rahm at the very top. Then there is a 3-way tie right below him between Bryson, Rory, and Justin Thomas. So Kyle, we'll put it to you here. How do you feel about this? Are you surprised that Jon Rahm is at the top, or do you agree with the way these odds are laying out?
No, I think I would have been okay with Rahm or probably Bryson or Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas playing pretty good golf right now. I think some of this stuff's hard. It's sort of like the conversation that we have about the #1 player in the world. It could be a different guy every week, right? Like we see right now, I think Rory is actually the favorite for the PGA Championship next week. So you kind of look at this week and you're like, well, why isn't he the favorite here? Well, Jon Rahm's coming off an unbelievable performance at Muirfield Village coming into this week as the #1 player in the world. So it's sort of a revolving door at the top in terms of these odds. I think you can kind of group probably those 4 guys, Rory, Rahm, Bryson, JT. I would listen to arguments for somebody like a Webb, not DJ or Brooks right now. So probably those 4 or 5 right now, and say any one of them could be the favorite in any given week based on kind of what the course setup is and past history at the event.
Since 2016, 50% of the winners in the World Golf Championships have come from the top 3 players in the world. I mean, think about that. Over the last 4 years, half the winners are ranked 3rd or higher. We saw it last year with Brooks Koepka in Memphis. I like the favorites again this week, although later when we have our picks, I'm kind of thinking outside the box after that Michael Thompson deal. I want to win some cash. But if this were a horse race, Jon Rahm is clearly Secretariat. I'm looking at those names, and they're all incredible. I mean, they're on that superstar level. But Jon Rahm, he's the lead pony right now. And again, he has no weakness in his game. And what we're going to see at TPC Southwind matches up perfectly with what he does. Long and straight off the tee, hits those towering iron shots. And the green's going to be really firm and fast, those Bermuda greens. And he loves firm and fast greens. So you can't bet against Jon Rahm, certainly.
All right, Doug, you said you wanted to win some money. I do as well. So we're going to do some picks here, and we're going to start with the sleeper. Now, Michael Thompson, as I mentioned, huge sleeper. So, Doug, find me a Michael Thompson in this field for this week.
Well, after Michael Thompson, I'm looking at every long shot now because it's so much fun, and especially when they cash in like that. I like Max Homa. Last week in Minneapolis at the 3M Open, I walked with him for 4 days, and I'd never seen him actually play in person. And this guy is next level. I mean, they're all good out there, but when you walk with a guy like that and watch him play long off the tee, long iron shots, this guy is very, very talented. He had 3 top 10s at the start of this PGA Tour season. Then after the shutdown, came back and missed 3 cuts. But he told me that his game is back where it was on the West Coast. And remember now, he had an 8-foot birdie at 17 on Sunday, the 71st hole. If that goes in, he's suddenly in the lead. And then at 18, who knows what happens? He actually went par-par. But Max Homa is right there. His game is back. He won the Wells Fargo Championship a year ago against a stellar field. This guy won the NCAA Championship when he was at Cal back in 2013, and he beat a guy named Jon Rahm, who was at Arizona State. So I like Max Homa, and I like those odds for Homa, too.
Yeah, I love Homa. Homa's got a big opportunity this week to maybe play his way into the U.S. Open. If he finishes in the top 10, the 2 highest guys in the top 10 that aren't already qualified, and Max isn't already qualified, get into Winged Foot here in about 2 months. So big opportunity for him there. I tried to pick Harris English this week. Harris English is actually not in the field, so our producer saved me from that. I went ahead and went with Jason Day. Jason Day quietly at Muirfield Village had a really good 2-week stretch. He finished in the top 20 in both the Workday Charity Open and then as well as the Memorial. He's hitting the golf ball better. You know, a lot of times in the past, Jason Day was kind of carried by being the best putter in the world. He was the best putter in the world for like 2 or 3 years there when he was winning a lot. But he's hitting the golf ball better than he has been over the past few years. He's the kind of guy where if he gets up near the lead, you're like, okay, Jason Day is a name, is a player that can roll with a Jon Rahm, that can roll with a Rory McIlroy. So 40 to 1, I'd like that to be more like 50 or 60 to 1, but I do like him. 40 is kind of the cutoff for us in terms of sleepers, so I like him at 40 to 1 to potentially be a sleeper this week.
This field is so deep. You could have picked anybody, and you picked somebody who wasn't there. We have 45 of the top 50. Okay, because of that, this makes a top 10 lock sometimes a little bit more difficult. Kyle, who's your top 10 lock?
Well, I'm going chalk here. I'm going with Jon Rahm. You know, he's somebody who, and Doug mentioned it, this course suits him really well. He played really well here last year. This was the week after the Open Championship last year. He finished 7th here last year, but he opened with a 62. He was your first round leader after round 1 at this tournament last year. You combine that with, he's gotten progressively better since the restart. He had some kind of dicey tournaments there as the PGA Tour got going again. He didn't play up to what I would call Jon Rahm standards. Muirfield Village was a masterpiece. I mean, it was unbelievable, and I think he carries that momentum not only into this week, but also into the PGA Championship at Harding Park. I think he's going to have just a really good run here over the next few weeks.
Talk about a top 10 lock. Webb Simpson has played 9 events this season of the PGA Tour, and he's finished top 10 6 times, including in that 2 victories, and he lost in a playoff at the RSM Classic. I mean, he's the leading candidate for PGA Tour Player of the Year. Yeah, I mean, he's an absolute lock. Didn't play well at the Memorial, missed the cut there, but a lot of people missed the cut, and that golf course was just crazy tough. That won't be the case in Memphis. He loves this golf course, finished 2nd a year ago to Brooks Koepka. It reminds him of Sedgefield, those greens, the Bermuda greens, and he plays really good at the Wyndham Championship. So, yeah, if you want an absolute lock, I mean, it's Webb Simpson, there's no doubt.
All right, both of you feeling really good about that. Now it is time for the moment of truth here. We need a winner. Doug Bell, we'll start with you.
All right, we're in Memphis, the home of Elvis. Of course, Graceland may go by. Who knows? I've been there before. I love it. Of course, Elvis set the record for most records sold until a group from England came over from Liverpool named the Beatles, and they doubled it with like 45 million albums sold. So there's going to be another English invasion coming into Memphis this week. And think about these English guys. I mean, Justin Rose and Tyrrell Hatton and Paul Casey, Tommy Fleetwood. Oh, yeah. Matthew Fitzpatrick. He's 20th in the world. The odds are really good. He shot a 68 in the final round at Memorial when nobody was going low. And that week, by the way, Jim Bones Mackay, Phil's old caddy, who's on TV now, carried for him. And I walked up to Jim, and before I said anything, he says, Doug, this kid is really good. This kid is better than I thought he was. And I thought, what a great endorsement. Billy Foster, his caddy, is now over from England. He quarantined, so he'll be back in the bag. But this young guy at 25 plays tough golf courses really, really well. He is my Ringo star. He's my pick this week, Matthew Fitzpatrick.
I knew Doug was going to pick Matthew Fitzpatrick. He picked him like halfway through his final round at the Memorial. He was loving that final round, 68 from Fitzpatrick. I've got another guy who had some success at Muirfield Village. That's Justin Thomas. He finished second at the Workday Charity Open to Colin Morikawa. Had a decent week at the Memorial the week after, but he's just been somebody who, since the restart, has been striking the golf ball so well. I think, sometimes I think we do this thing where somebody finishes second or third in an event and we don't give them as much credit as if they won. And there's a reason for that. They didn't win, but they still had, Justin Thomas shot the same score as Colin Morikawa over 72 holes at the Workday Charity Open. He just lost in a 3-hole playoff. So I just think Justin Thomas is playing probably the most consistently good golf of anybody in the world right now. Again, like he has thrived in WGCs before. He won at Bridgestone a couple years ago over Rory McIlroy. I love JT. I love the way he's playing right now. I think he gets it done at Memphis.
All right, Kyle and Doug, thank you so much. What I appreciate about this entire segment, both of you seem very confident in your picks, and I like that. That makes me confident because I would like to win some money. So recapping their picks, take your screenshot, write it down. We'll play it back later today. The sleeper there for Kyle Porter, Jason Day, his top 10 lock. He's going with world #1, Jon Rahm. His pick to win, finally get a win, Justin Thomas. And then the sleeper for Doug Bell, Max Homa, his top 10 lock, Webb Simpson, and his pick to win, his own Ringo star, Matthew Fitzpatrick. All right, if you'd like to hear more about these players and more from our mad data scientist, Rick Gaiman, breaking down his picks, you can go to sportsline.com/join for just a single $1 right now. Promo code Philly.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.